Welcome back to the Grad-Centric Podcast. Today we're going to talk about plagiarism and cheating. And I talked a few episodes ago about reading through the university catalog. Undoubtedly, your university catalog will have a description about what plagiarism is and how you can get tripped up by it and what the consequences might be if you're found to be plagiarizing in a paper or cheating on a test. So make sure to review as you're reading your university catalog, like I told you a few episodes ago. Make sure that you know what those policies are and that you're abiding by them. So let's step back a little bit before we get into some of that detail and just ask, what is plagiarism? Well, plagiarism is acting like someone else's original work is your own. And how we run into plagiarism a lot in academia is when someone maybe copies off a web page and puts that information out as their own in a paper. That can be a really serious offense. And this doesn't make a lot of sense for people out there outside of academia as to why this is such a big offense. Because in many respects, out there in the real world, a lot of times people do just take facts off a web page and they put it in a PowerPoint slide and they go and present it. Well, in academia, that's a big red flag and can be punished. Why? Well, a lot of times faculty members, for instance, are original people who create original work through research. And so it is a culture that very much values respecting another person's work and then also coming up with original work on your own. In addition to the fact that ethically we know that if you're taking an exam or you're writing a paper for a class, it should be your own work, right? Because you're working towards some type of grade or some type of degree, and you're going to put yourself out there as someone who has completed the work in order to get that degree. So we know that plagiarism just is a check to make sure that you are doing your own original work, that you're the person that is getting the skills, experience, and knowledge required in order to go out there and work in the real world. So plagiarism is taking someone else's original work and putting it off as your own, saying this is my work when it's really not. How can we avoid plagiarism? Well, there's a couple different ways. One, we can come up with original work ourselves, or two, we can just cite and quote somebody else's work. And so sometimes students get into trouble not because they have bad motives in putting someone else's work forward as their own. It's just that they don't know how to cite something within a research paper properly. Maybe they haven't quoted something properly, or they haven't just said this is someone else's work, and they didn't know how to do that in a research paper through some type of citation method like APA or MLA or what have you. So sometimes it's an error of just a lack of knowledge. Sometimes it's an error and someone has bad motives and they're really trying to cheat. And then of course I just use cheat, so we shouldn't cheat as well. This is when we're maybe taking a test and we've procured some type of answer bank that already gives us the answers without us actually trying and doing it ourselves. Maybe it's passing notes in the class. Whatever the cheating looks like, that's also something that's prohibited. And what a lot of students don't know as they go into the college world is that the penalties for this type of behavior can be really, really severe. It's not uncommon for us to open up the newspaper and see someone at an Ivy League school that got kicked out right before they graduated simply because they cheated or they plagiarized on some type of test. So don't do it. It's not worth the consequences. You're spending a lot of money to go off to college and to get a degree. The worst thing that you can do is to plagiarize or to cheat and then get an F in the course or get expelled from the school or generally just get a bad reputation because professors talk. And so they may say, hey, check out or be aware of this person. He maybe or she maybe did this or that. That's not the type of reputation that you want. Finally, just one other thing. A lot of times if you're taking an online class or a learning management class, or a class in a learning management software is what I meant to say, a lot of times there will be plagiarism checks built in, whether it's Turnitin or some other type of software. These are things that you need to be aware of, because if you do try to take someone else's work and pass it off as your own, a lot of times these plagiarism checkers will catch it and they'll know that you cheated, and then the professor will deal with that accordingly. Okay, if you have any questions about plagiarism or cheating, feel free to reach out, jason@gradmetrics.com, and we'll see you on the next episode.